We're live now. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi.
Right,
Hi.
so we are live. We should be live on YouTube, Facebook. I know it's on Char's group page. I mean, it can be shared. I've shared it with a few people on WhatsApp, etc., etc. So we are on episode 16 of Share My Queendom. And I have invited these three amazing people because I want to talk about money. And these people came to mind because I think, they could help maybe with a few questions that I even have, and any questions that anyone has that joins in to watch. So we'll just start with a few little introductions. I'll start with Char. Just let us know a little bit about yourself.
From Char to Char. Hi, everybody. I'm Char Hibbert. Those who don't know, I'm the founder of She's All About the Money. Do you want to give me a background about She's All About the Money? Should I go?
Yeah. Go straight there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. So She's All About the Money is a platform that I created to empower women to have a better relationship with their money. And the idea all came about from my own personal experience with money. It wasn't so great with it before. No matter how much I've coming in, I was just living paycheck to paycheck, no savings, no future goal. So I kind of knew to get on top of my money game, to change the situation. So for reading books, going to seminars, and meeting with a financial advisor, I was able to get on top of my money and see my money, see more of it, and invest it, and use it for future planning. So from all that information, I said, you know what, I need to get it out there more, empower more people, women in particular, to follow my lead in this example, and just do better with their money, because we're not just working and paying bills and paying back debt. Actually seeing our money, saving and investing, and making sure we can actually do things with our money when opportunities arise. So that's me.
Cool. Thank you. Dean.
Hi.
Oh, sorry, we've got two.
You can be Dean if you want. That's fine. Hi, good evening. Yeah, my name's Dean. Known Char for a long time.
Yeah, we're not going to go into that story, are we, Dean?
I'm not going to say nothing about it.
Go there, Dean. Go there.
I can't. She'll just knock me off. You know what I mean? So.
No, I won't. It wasn't even that bad. It probably sounds worse now that I've said and don't share.
No. Yeah. So I worked in my earlier years. I worked in banking and finance, in quite a few of the high street banks. Barclays International was where I started as a junior clerk. Then I was fortunate enough to work in Abbey National, which I now call Shabby Abbey, even though they're now Santander. So I was there for 3.5 years. Worked my way up to what's called a customer manager, which was like a low-level advisor. From there, I worked in a finance company, and then I moved over to working for NatWest and the Royal Bank of Scotland as a branch manager, and I was there for 5 years. So that's a little bit about my background, and probably why Char's called me. If you see my bank balance, she probably would have just kicked me off the call. But apart from that, yeah.
It's more about your experience. I don't want to know what's in your bank right now. And then we also have Odeshea. And why I actually thought about you was literally just based off one conversation we had at a birthday dinner. And, you were talking about stuff that you'd done when you were younger. And I was just like amazed, because I'm like, at that age, I was not thinking that way. So if you could let us know a little bit about yourself.
So I started working at a really young age. I started working at like 15. So in some aspects, looking back, I kind of think I was always quite financially astute. I can proudly say I'm mortgage free at 40. I purchased my first property when I was like 20. And I've had a multitude of jobs. One of my last roles was a lingerie buyer at Ann Summers, and I was like one of the senior buyers at about 33 on quite a considerable salary. But so I bought my first property, I would say, when I was relatively young, and then just continued from there, really.
Cool. Well, I think that was like, I was blown away. I was just like, why didn't anyone tell me about houses at that age? Because I definitely didn't. That was just me. Completely.
It's amazing.
Oh, it's Ellison. Hi, Ellison. Yeah. So Char has a platform called She's All About the Money. So do go and follow her on Instagram. Loads of interesting tips and stuff like that. And you do like lives and events and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, every other Thursday got lives. Yeah.
You do it every Thursday.
Every other Thursday, yeah. I invite people in the financial industry to come on. Yeah.
Cool. So I have a few questions, and I guess we can kind of work around that. What I wanted to know from each of you, what did you learn about money as a child? Do you remember anyone teaching you about money, or did you just kind of find your way? I'll start with Char.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, like what you just saying now about so it's D, isn't it? Which just explained about from 15 and having property. I wish I knew what I know now then, because I was not great with money. I don't think I was necessarily showed how to manage money. It wasn't that I had bad examples. I wasn't really shown. It was like, it was big people business, you know. I didn't really have to get involved. So I was never really showed from a young age how to manage money. So when I did start working from 17, I was just buying shoes and raving. That was my money.
Yeah.
I had no savings in mind, you know. So yeah, I wish that, you know, it was the other way around, because I could be more on top of it. And I think it's so important for us to show our children how to manage money. We're in a generation now where we've got so much more opportunities to be like entrepreneurs, work for yourself. I think that like the time frame that we grew up, because obviously we're still in that age, Char, is parents having just maybe working 1, 2, 3 jobs, and they're just bringing that money in. But I think now there's so much more opportunities for children to see entrepreneurs, you know, and people in business within the Black community as well. So I think it's so important for them to know how to manage that money when it comes in, because it's not really about, you know, if you have money coming, it's about how you manage it. If you have a lot of money or a small amount of money, it's how you manage it. It's not about the actual amount of money. So money management is key from the beginning. So yeah, I wasn't that great before.
Dean?
Money. See, I was good. I wrote some of my own questions. Do you know what I mean? Because I thought I don't want to get quizzed and not know what I'm talking about. But money as a child, when I was very young, I was actually very good with money. You know, I had one of them. I don't know if you had it. Them. Do you know? I've been used to give you the little piggy banks with the pigs on it.
Oh yeah.
And you collected, they gave you another pig. You know what I mean? But I had that, and any pennies I used to get, any money I used to get, I used to make sure I saved it. And I was fine until I met Char when I was about 15. And then
don't bring me into this. I wasn't involved.
The concept of money. No. But when I started working, I was roughly the age of about 14. I had a little job at the local chemist. I used to help them close up when I finished school, and that was fine. And where we grew up in Hackney, we had the Sunday market. So I used to go to the Sunday market with my little money, buy the pirate videos, go home, copy them, and sell them in school. And that's how I started earning money from a young age. And I felt proud of doing things like saying to my mum, like, here's the weekly shop, I've got it covered. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was always worried about I was selling drugs or something crazy like that. But I said, don't worry, police are not going to come and kick down the door. It's fine. But I'm glad Char mentioned about attitude to money, because this is one thing that when I speak to young people now, their concept about money and about making money and their influences of money is so different to what mine was. And it took me a long time to get there. But however, now I realize that they are more astute with money. But the devil in the spending of money is probably even more prevalent now than it was then. So one of the questions that I wrote down, and one thing that I said was, when I was young, I didn't ever need anything, so I didn't want for anything, if that makes sense, because my mum provided. Whereas the older I got, I felt like I needed things that I didn't need, I actually wanted. So I was spending the money I didn't have to get things I perceived I needed, but I didn't need them, I just wanted them, which was just a slight change of mindset.
Yeah, I think I was the same. I didn't think, I started working young actually, but I just got money, spent money. I didn't think much further than that, really.
Literally that.
What about you, Char?
So for me, I feel that as a child, what I learned, being grown by a single mum, finance was very key in the household. Not that it was a negative thing, but I saw my mum go to work and I knew that she saved because she would tell me. And I knew that she was quite frugal, but equally very wise with her money. So I think being raised by a single mum, that's immediately taught me the importance of finance. The fact that I went to work at 15 because my mum said, if you want these £100 trainers, you need to earn it. And luckily, a family member of mine had a hairdressing shop. So I worked in, you might know it, Aquarius. So I worked in there for 15 and I was earning like £20 a week and then tips on top of that. So at 15, that's quite a good amount of money. So I was bringing that wage packet home. My mum would automatically say, give me £10. So that was literally half of my money. So she would put that aside, and then in the week or on the weekend, myself and her would go and we'd put it in my bank book, and I'd have, like a little paper bank book.
Yeah, I remember.
I think when you're growing up, it's a very psychological money. So if you're in a household where your parents are complaining that they have no money, that could be a negative impact or a positive impact for people.
Yeah.
If you're in a household where you're lavished with non-stop gifts, again, that could be negative or positive. So it's a very fine line growing up as a child, the emphasis you put on money. And luckily for myself, I never wanted for anything, but if I did want something, it wasn't given to me instantly. It was like my mum said, oh, I have to wait for my wage packet to come in. When it comes in, I've got this to pay for, that to pay for. So it kind of left a thing with me that when your money comes in, you prioritize, you have your priorities. And yeah, so that's how it was. At 16, I left home. So I left home very young. I was a bit, wanted to do my own thing. My mum was like, hell no, get out. So at 16, I was managing my whole home. Like I was in a hostel. So I was paying gas. I was paying council tax, my license. So I had a very early encounter with money management. So I think that's probably why I am the way I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a child, I think I was quite aware of finances and what it could bring you, but equally what issues it could also create. So.
It's important. I did actually had another question still about children and money, because I know that I'm probably I am the only person without a child here. But how do you teach your children the value of money, or do you?
Were you
I
aiming
think
at
it's really important, as I was saying before. But sorry, I think it's really important, just like we said before, about how money from early to kind of have the idea of how it all works. But it's so important to make it fun. Like if you make it like another lesson, then it's it's boring. But the reason why it's important to kind of teach our children that is because it's not taught in schools. We're taught in school how to be a good employee or a good student. Not really taught how to make money, save money, know how money works. You get the algebra, but you don't really work out how percentages work until later on secondary school. So it's really important, I think, for us to do that at home. It has to be fun. So like games like Monopoly, just playing around with play money, that sort of thing to start off. It depends on the age, obviously, but making it a bit fun, making it a bit of a challenge, make a saving goal. My 10-year-old, we do saving goals with him. If he wants something, he's got to save it. There's like a O Henry, it's called, a child account where you can actually they can set saving goals on the child account, and you can actually transfer money over into their pocket money. So within that pocket money, it gets a week, we make him save to what he wants. So he saves out of his little pocket money towards his goals, just so you can actually see it growing as well. And it's got the app as well, so you can see it growing, and he feels like he's put something towards it, because as we all know, money don't grow on trees. But just like if you're growing up in a household saying I want and you get, you're not really going to benefit and understanding how money works. You just assume you go into the big world and you just get what you want when you want it, or you're going to find ways to get that money. So maybe it's a good way or a bad way. So I think it's important for us to kind of help them to understand how it works,
Definitely,
and train them to appreciate money.
Yeah. There's an app called, I think it's called Henry, where it's...
Yes, that's the one. Go Henry. Yeah, that's
Go
the one.
Henry. Yeah, so I actually got
Yes, that's
that
what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, go
yeah,
Henry.
so
It's really good.
I got
Yeah.
that for like my ex-partner's son. And so we used to, I could set tasks like chores and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And so he'd
Exactly.
get a little
Heard about
weekly little change, but if he wanted more,
that. Hmm.
he'd have to do certain things. So sometimes I
That's
wake
right.
up and I'll
Yeah.
hear the Hoover going. I'll be like, uh-oh. He's hoovering, he's
He wants
cleaning.
payment.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got to give him money
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. But yeah, no,
I
it's
think
really
it's
good. It's a
good.
good way for Anna to see it as well.
Yeah, even
See the
though
money
to be fair,
growing.
I do think, you know, cleaning your home shouldn't be seen as a job that you get paid for. That's just standard. But, you
Yeah,
know,
I hear that.
it kind of gave him a good idea that you have to do
Yeah,
something to get something kind of
this is
thing.
it. Yeah, because people say, I'm not paying my child for a chore, like you just said, because they should
Yeah.
do that standard.
Yeah.
But I think it's just getting them the idea of you doing something, getting payment for it. So they may take that idea of thinking, all right, I'm going to wash my neighbour's car and see if I get payment for it. Think about outside
Yeah.
the box of how they can make money. So you just try train them the idea of how you can actually get money and sustain money, make it grow. So yeah, 100%. It's as early as possible. You just teach them about money and how to manage it, and the value of things, and also to be aware of the conversations you're having with about money when children are present. If they're hearing things like debt collectors at the door, don't answer the door, or or I'm broke, we can't afford that. All these negative attitudes toward money can actually pass on to children if we don't recognize what we're saying in front of them. So we have a responsibility to think positive and act positive about money and good examples, because children don't really learn from what we tell them; they learn from what they see. So you tell them, oh, save your money, and they see you spending every single last penny and not paying the bills. What kind of example are you setting? So yeah, it's really important to remember that they're watching you.
Yeah. For me and my children, they're quite young, so I haven't really focused on that. My focus around money is just talking about careers and talking about what you can do with yourself and how much money you could possibly make or whatever. With my older family members, what I tend to do is I'd give them a task, and to take the mick, I'll be like, I'm giving you the national minimum wage. So something for an hour, and I give them £8. And they're like, but auntie, you're giving me £8. I've worked for an hour. And I'm like, yeah, that's the national minimum wage. On how you study or the job you get, you can be earning £8 odd an hour, or you could be earning £1,000 an hour, but it's dependent on you and what you do. So that's how I kind of teach them about money, in the sense of there's careers that pay £1,000 an hour, or there's businesses that you can create that make you £1,000, or you can have a national minimum wage of £8. And I'm not disregarding, people on minimum wages. Like, we all have to make money, but it's how you apply yourself. And we all have to start on a national minimum wage. But when you get older and you now have responsibilities, will that national minimum wage really suffice the Balenciaga shoes, the Range Rovers that you want? So that's how I kind of teach my family members that are of an age that they should be like becoming financially aware of things.
Yes.
Sorry, Char, jumping in there. For me, it's even we're like this. Think of the large note concept, right? Let's say you do a job or you do a task and someone gives you £50. You need a bottle of milk. You only have the £50 on you. Do you go to the shop and spend the £50, or do you think, let me try and find the pennies and save the £50 note, and then I'll just buy the bottle of milk with the pennies instead?
I'd rather find the pennies.
Yeah, so you don't want to break the £50, and you go, I'm going to keep that for something special.
Yeah.
But the value in the £50 of being 5,000 pennies is the same value of finding, do you know what I mean, 100 pennies or whatever the case is to get your milk. And that's a bit confusing, but if you just understand the large note concept, to say, if someone gives you a large note, you don't want to spend it. Whereas if someone paid you in £50 coins, you would have quickly popped in, picked up milk, picked up something else, and gone about whatever you were doing. So for me, it's about understanding the money and the value of money, and not necessarily saying, because it's a £50 note, I'm going to save it. But if I had a £50 coins, I'm going to spend it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So when I get home, for example, I always empty all my coins out into a bowl. And I never touch that bowl. I just leave that bowl to do what it's doing. And that bowl's job is happy birthday and Merry Christmas. But every day I'll empty coins into that with the understanding that this is what money can do, regardless how large or small the quantity of money is. And if you think what I mentioned back about the NatWest peak, to say I knew if I filled that with pound coins, when it was full, I had £100, and with the £100 I could do X. With my daughters, I get them to try and understand this is the value of this note. Don't think that because you've got this note, you have to save it or you have to spend it. It's trying to understand it. And my mum used to say to me, don't let money be hot in your hand or in your pocket, meaning that if you've got it, you have to get rid of it to go and buy something that you probably don't need. Do you understand? So
you think that's what your mum told you?
Yeah, so don't let money be hot in your pocket.
Okay.
So that means as soon as you get it, you don't need to spend it.
Yeah,
And just put it to one side. And that's what I try to promote. So even things like when I do go shop, so my youngest daughter, she's 8. If she wants something, I'll give her £5 and say, you can go and pay the shopkeeper. But before you pay it, how much is the value and how much change should you expect? So she knows that if she's going to buy something, I'll give her the money for it, but she'll know I'm due back this amount. These are what the coins look like. And that's how much I'm going to save after purchasing X. So it's just getting them to understand money. Whereas when I was young, anyone gave me money, I wanted to go to the ice cream van or go to the corner shop and print it off until it was gone and then run back to my mum, see if I can get some more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's about getting their head around, do you know what I mean? Money obviously has a task, but it's not the be all and end all. So when you get it, you don't have to spend it. And try and create a better relationship with money, I think is what I would love young people to understand, the relationship with money. Do you know what I mean? That we can make it work for us and us working for it.
Yeah, exactly. Just a comment from Claudine Reed MBE. I have to say that with her name. Good idea about the coins in a jar. My mum used to do that. I adopted the principle for a while in my life. Yeah, I need a jar. I don't have it. No, actually, I do. That was a lie. I have a couple of jars.
You're not using the jar.
I just find pennies on the floor and I just put it in. It's not, you know what? It's not. I know it's not really. It's not purposeful though. It's just for when annoying coins are around and I just put it in.
Yeah, tell me about
I have a few of those around.
Yes, we're going towards cashless society now. Anyway, we're using less money, so less cash money.
How and when did you start earning? I'll start. My first job, I was in, I think I was in sixth form, and I got a job working in Peacocks. It just opened. So I was working at weekend in Peacocks, and I think I worked on a Thursday as well because I had like half a day or something like that. I just went there for fun. I literally had fun at the weekend working with my friends. Still didn't know the value of money really. I worked there, then I went on to work at pawnbrokers, and I remember, I swear, the moment I turned 18, Barclays sent me a credit card. I did not apply for this credit card, so in my mind it was like free money. Literally, I had no financial education. It was free money, store cards, I'd have them, Topshop, you know. The moment I could get them, I'd have them. And I was really bad, like between that age and like going to university. I just had no idea. But I improved, we thank God. And yeah, I sorted out all those issues. What about you guys? Where did you first work, or how did you first start earning money? Anyone? Dean.
Well, my first official job, I worked in, well, do you know when we used to get the Loot newspaper?
The Loot, oh my gosh, yeah.
Go home, I used to circle the jobs and call them up and whatever.
I forgot about that.
And
I collect
you ring the jobs.
That was my incentive. Collect the rejection letters, because that's all I used to receive. So my name's Dean Alfred. I've got a typical white man's name. Send my CV off. Yeah, come in for the job. I'll turn up. They'll look at me like, sorry, it's filled. Do you know what I mean? That's to collect the jobs. And I got a job with New Look, the women's clothes shop in Walthamstow. And a week later, I got a job in Sainsbury's. And because I got so many rejections, I just took both of the jobs on and just juggled them side by side. And I actually found my first payslip. I earned £2.11 an hour. Don't be fooled.
Wow.
I had money. Do you know what I mean? It was enough. I didn't want for anything. I had my scratch card, bus pass, and all that, so I was fine. And similar to what Odeshea said, as soon as I got my first pay, I gave it to my mum, the whole amount, and she held on to that for me. And then every other paycheck, she would save. I would give her some, and she would save it for me. And I moved out age 17 and a half. And then I remember when I got the keys to my place, she ordered me this washing machine from the catalogue. And I was like, how am I going to pay for this? But she was like, oh, you've already got the money. Now, do you know, just psychologically, I was like, oh my gosh, do you know what I mean? It's done a lot.
Did you forget about it, or?
No, I know I gave her the money, but in my head, it was never enough to buy a washing machine. Do you know what I mean? That was like a big, responsible item to purchase. Do you know what I mean? Rather than going to Samantha's and Raven and Thursday to Sunday and blah, blah, blah. Now I've got a washing machine, so I need to now be a bit more serious in life.
Yeah.
But working from that age and studying at the same time and still having a social life, I then started to really understand the value of trying to balance everything and being understanding myself to say, do you know what? You work, you earn, you can buy the things that you need, you can pay for what you need to pay for, and you can save. And that concept hasn't changed.
Yeah. What about you, Odeshea?
So, as I said, I worked at my aunt's hairdressers from 15 for about 2 years. And then when I moved out of home, I got a full-time job. It was something to do in fashion, some office or solicitors or something. I can't remember. I've had a lot of jobs. So I was doing that, but I've always been a saver. So my principle from when I was young was half. So I used to save. So as we go on, I'm sure we'll talk about it. But so my ideology was I've got to save for a rainy day. My grandma, she's Jamaican, so she was like, you must make sure you put on for a rainy day. You're going to have a rainy day. You must have money. So every paycheck I got, it was half. Half would go into my savings. That would be standard. And I balance and manage the other half. So from early, I've been working since I was 17. I've been working since I was 15 and then got my real proper job at 17. And I've never been out of a job. Since having the kids, I've really stopped work. That's the only time I've really stopped working. I've juggled all my side hustles and, all my property stuff all the time. So I've always worked and I've always saved. However, my principle on saving has now changed. So, but we can talk about that after. But yeah, saving is important for me, but now my ideology around saving and how you save is very different. Just leaving it sitting in a bank anymore, that doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into saving. Just to hear from Char about when you started earning, and then we'll talk about the saving.
Yeah, I guess I kind of answered it earlier, really. Like when I started working from 17, literally money went on raving and buying shoes. I didn't have any other bills to be worried about. Like the first bill I had was probably my, what was it, one-to-one, wasn't it? The 14-year-old. Yes. Mom got me a little phone.
Mercury first.
I'm sure it's one-to-one.
Mercury.
No, I went on Mercury. I went the hot days. I started on one-to-one. I remember my mum got me, she had her own little phone contract and she added my phone to it. And I was like, yeah, I've got my one-to-one. So she would tell me, this is the amount you need to pay towards it. And I think that was when I first got the concept of having to pay for something regularly, outgoing. She never asked me for no money towards rent or towards the household bills. She just let me have my little pocket. So when I started doing the little one-to-one phone bill, that was it. I was like, okay, I need to do this regularly. And then when I got more money coming from other jobs that I started to move up in, I was like, okay, Mum, this is for you. And I was giving her some money towards, out of my money. But that was the only thing that I ever really did kind of giving away from my money. The rest of it was spending, literally. I would say probably 80% of my money was spending. I can tell you where it went. Before it even dropped in the account, it was spent because I knew I was going to be spending it. So I wasn't great with it at all. And I've had so much different jobs, and I've had good earning jobs as well, income-wise. But one of the time before I started this journey of learning more about money and how to manage it, I couldn't tell you where it went. And I'm so annoyed with myself because I know I could have done so much more with it.
Yeah, when you think back now,
said to me, it's like, what was I doing? And even just a sense of, I've never been a person to be champagne popping in the dance, nothing like that anyway. I'll stick with my little rosé wine or my little prosecco. I'm calm in that way. Or someone could buy me a drink, I'm not paying for it. But the point I'm making is a sense of like just spending on what you want when you want it. That kind of feeling, like just spending. And then there's the debt options as well. I was also using debt options such as credit cards and overdrafts and loans and HP purchase, all those sort of things, because I was getting accepted. It felt good. I had a good credit score. I was working. I thought, I can pay that. But that's not the way forward. It's about maximizing, use what you have with saving and investing. When you've got that saving pot invested, that's when you can see the best turnover of what your money is. So I wish what I know now I knew then, because I've been so much better off. But you live and you learn. It's not too late.
Yeah, exactly. It's never too late. If there's anyone listening and you're thinking,
Definitely.
how on earth would I make save money? So I wanted to get on about saving, and Odeshea, we'll come back to you about the how you saved and even how you save now.
So from a young age, I opened an ISA, and half of my salary would go into the ISA. That was when I was in my teens, going into my 20s. And then I went from the ISA to a stocks and shares ISA, another ISA. And it's been recently, since I've had the children, that I started to educate myself using books, going to seminars, joining groups. And I realized actually that my money wasn't working for me. So putting it in ISA, putting it in a stocks and shares ISA, for some people that's fine, not dissing that at all, because that's where I started. But I feel that in your financial journey, there are different stages that you do different things. And as a Black community, I don't think we're knowledgeable about how to save, the manners in which you can save, the ways that money can work for you. And I've recently learned about, stocks and shares. I did have a stocks and shares ISA, that's fine. But there's just so many other ways to accumulate money, use your money, and not just save, not just put it in a 0% or 1% or 2% savings account. I've been saving since I've been 17. So had I known about trust funds, had I known about, there's such a wide scope of other ways that you can make your money work for you. And it's only by education, it's only by extending your network, it's only by tapping into other social circles that you understand that, whoa, hold on a minute, I could have been doing this. Do you know what I mean? And going back to you, Char, you said debt. For me, debt's my best friend. That's all I work with. I work with debt. My credit score is good, and that's what I use. I don't use my money no more. I only use debt. So it depends, you as a person, how financially controlled you are.
Yeah.
I know friends that they got the bounce back loan. They've gone out, they've blown the bounce back loan. Like they've got they've gone on holidays, they've done this, they've done that. Bounce back loan's gone. Like when the time comes to pay the bounce back loan, but what are you going to do? Whereas for me, the bounce back loan has been used for things that will generate another income stream. So, but I have been on holiday, I went away. But so I just think that you have to educate yourself financially. I think and as a community, we need to share our knowledge.
I agree.
Well, I'm not knocking anyone that has an ISA. That's fine. But understand that there are people out there making money, and they're using other people's money to make money for themselves. So that's so for me, saving's very important. It teaches you a lot when you're younger, but as you get older, your responsibilities change, your income increases, there's other ways to compound the interest or make the money work for you better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
But
I'm
just
still
on that
I'm
note, Dee,
still
just to
learning.
say, I think yes, and also I was
Sorry.
going to say that without the right education and those debt options is a recipe for disaster, and that's what I was. I had no direction, and I had loads of credit options available to me. So I think having those credit options available to you when you have the right knowledge, like where you are right now, you're in a great position to be investing and, you know, doing what you can with it, and maybe even getting into retail properties and using that debt option. But if you don't know how to manage that money, you're thinking it's just free money, and you're not really thinking about the interest you're paying on top to pay it back. So just that compound interest you're talking about there, it's the opposite way around. It's compound interest to the banks from you.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's literally where I was. It's about where you are right now, having that education and knowledge to know what to do with that extra income.
Yeah. How about you, Dean? Are you a big saver?
Saving, I'm actually very good at saving because I learned this actually quite recently. I'll say in the last 5 years or so. Just to set yourself spending goals. Because if you set yourself a spending goal, then by default you save. Do you get what I'm saying? So I'm not a person that buys designers. They don't work for me. A, because I fluctuate in weight. So if I buy myself a nice fitted shirt, then go push out the button, so I can't wear the shirt again. Do you get what I'm saying? It don't make sense to me. However, with spending goals, you can say to yourself, I'm going to spend X, Y, or Z. And that can just be a percentage. So I know, obviously, listening to Odeshea and Char, they're both very astute with money, but there are a few people I know that's watching, Char, that don't understand compounding interest. They don't understand half of the terms of what interest rate is and how it works.
That'll be me.
Just make it simple. Just say, I earn £1,000, but I want to spend £200. So can I take the £200 out of this 1,000? Or is it the next one? Or do I take £10 from each one until I get to the 200? So that way, when you set yourself a spending goal, by default, you can say to yourself, I'm going to save X and my goal is to spend Y. And as soon as you understand that about money, then life works much easier, you know? So Char mentioned about buying shoes and going raving and whatever else. And Odeshea also mentioned about credit cards and not credit cards, debt, and learning how to manage debt. Now, don't get me wrong, managing debt is a very elevated way and a very clever way of using money, because the rich and the wealthy spend other people's money. They don't spend their own. When we're not in a position to spend other people's money and we only have our own, then we need to be able to work out how we can manage to do so. So my opinion is you set yourself a goal and you work towards that. Now, some people's goals are unrealistic. And I want to tell a little story, Char. And you can all may or may not be able to relate to this, but how much would you say your most expensive pair of shoes are?
Male or female? There's a big difference there as well.
There isn't, you know. There used to be, there isn't anymore, but just throw a figure out.
Yeah, I'm not terrible with shoes. I think the most I've spent on shoes is £80, which is not a lot compared to some of my friends, but that's the most I'll spend, I think.
Odeshea?
Yeah, I think I'm happy to go with that because I don't spend the money on shoes like I used to. That was 17-year-old. It's not me now.
I don't really spend. However, my birthday, it was a big birthday. I bought some of the Balenciaga trainers, but they're very comfortable and I've worn them for 3 years every day. So I feel like
you've got your money's worth.
It's okay.
All right. And I'm glad you actually said that, because how much is your pillow? The last pillow you bought?
I spend on my comfort. I'm a comfort bunny, so yeah, I do. My mattress was expensive. My pillows are expensive. My home's very important to me. So, yeah.
Well, the question I'm asking is, there are some people, not necessarily present company, but you'll have shoes that are £300, £500, and then you know they got the flat pillow it doesn't even plump up anymore. But you wear the shoes once, twice, or 3 times a year. You sleep on the pillow every day. You get what I'm saying? So you look at the value and the value that people place on certain things. So relating this back to money, when you have £1,000, if your first thought is, let me go and buy them pair of shoes that I'm going to wear 3-4 times during the coronavirus, or I'm going to spend a bit more on a pillow that I'm going to use every day, the value you see in the two separate items normally helps with the value you relate to money. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I'm happy to spend £90 on a pillow, knowing I'm going to use that pillow X amount of times, versus spend the same amount on a pair of shoes that I'm going to wear once or twice. You know, so it comes down to spending habits and the value that you put on money. And that's the message that I want to pass across to Joe Public. Just try and get back down to the value, and then spending becomes much easier.
But I would say, Dean, that as a 40-year-old woman, my spending habits would completely differ to a 21-year-old, and I'm a woman with children. So my financial journey is a completely different journey to somebody a lot younger. Somebody a lot younger living at home, who their salary is all of their salary. Their spending would be different. Even though I feel that as an older generation, we need to educate our youngers, because I feel social media has got them very twisted. Got them spending every penny in Selfridges and Harrods. So I feel that for me, mine's all about generational wealth now. You know, everything I'm doing, everything I'm building is all about my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. So I feel that, you know, someone buying £1,000 shoes but having a really flat pillow, that could be like a 21-year-old or something like that, or it might, whoever it is, but it's just where your mind space is, you know. I just think it's like
I appreciate your point. However, if you listen to your own story, you already answered us. You said your mum taught you from a young age to save. So the same message you're passing on to your children and your children's children, future generations and your relatives, was passed to yourself. There are some people whose parents were bad with money, and historically bad with money, probably still bad with money. So there needs to be a point where you say, okay, how can I not be like that? How can I change the narrative? How can I change the curve? Do you get what I'm saying? So if someone at least says to themselves, like, one of the things I wrote down before was try not to spend all of your money on payday. If the money comes in on the last day of the month, wait 7 days before you touch a penny of it. Because if you struggled for the last 10 days, struggle for the last 17 days, if that makes sense. And see all those things that you thought I needed and I must buy, if you don't necessarily have to spend it. When payday comes, do you know what I mean? Like for me, it was, I mean, I don't eat meat no more, but it was that corned beef and rice for the week before payday. But on payday, you're going to go out restaurant or you're going to go and order takeaway. But one second, if corned beef and rice was good for the week beforehand, why on payday has the mindset changed? Do you get what I'm saying? So
it's all comes down to wants and needs, though, isn't it? Really, you have to separate your wants and your needs. I'll say, but you have to separate between your wants and your needs. Like, you know, I think it's important to recognize what's important and what's not important, in the sense of, really and truly, when it comes down to wants and needs, we can have different ideas of that. All of us can here. You know, you might say you need something, and I'll say that's a want. But really and truly, coronavirus, COVID period, lockdown period, teach people what needs and wants are. What we need is roof over our head and, you know, drink and food in your fridge. That's it. And family. So I think it's important for us to recognize the difference between wants and needs. When you're trying to spend too much of your expenditure on what you want and what you don't actually need, and that's a problem. If you're paying your bills and everything, and you still got that little bit extra over to treat yourself, then that's not an issue. But it's what you're doing. Some people are not paying the rent and doing what they need to do with their money to buy those shoes, or, you know, to keep up with the Joneses or whatever, and not within their means. And that's when it's a problem. I think it's all about you knowing your own budget and what you can manage in that budget.
But also, I feel that for me, I knew that I could never get myself into a financial issue because I didn't have a support network that would have jumped in and said, oh my God, you've got no electricity, here's some money. My mum weren't doing that. Do you know what I mean? And I feel that a lot of people have a mummy or a daddy that always comes to their rescue. And when you have a mummy and a daddy that's going to come to your rescue when you got no gas, when you ain't got no shopping, when you ain't got no petrol. It makes you wisen up. So these people are getting themselves in financial difficulties. A lot of it is because they know, oh, I can go to mum's house and grab a packet of rice or have a dinner. So I can go and get my boobs done and my bum done. And when there's no money, I can go to Times and eat food. But not a lot of people can do that. If you haven't got that support network, you're going to think, hold on a minute, I can't afford to buy those shoes, or I can't afford to go on that holiday, or I can't afford to have this done because there's no one there that's going to come with shopping at my door. So I feel that it's all about your environment and, you know, are you forced? Is your back against the wall, you know, to man up and be an adult and say, do you know what? I can't do this. But some people have a lot of people there giving them money to support their lifestyle.
But,
sorry, just quickly, I was just thinking, like, when I've been looking and reading up on like buying a home, etc., like they have different ways of making more money, saving money, and there is a thing called Bank of Mum and Dad. I'm like, I never had that. You know what I mean? It's an actual thing. People do have Bank of Mum and Dad. I'm like, no. When I went to uni, I had like 2-3 jobs at the same time. But then my classmates were like, oh, Dad will pay for that. Dad will pay for this. And I had to spend so much. I had to work the whole way through. Wasn't this Bank of Mum and Dad that they talk about.
Yeah.
But sorry, the point I was coming back to, sorry, Odeshea, I'm not getting at you. However, there are some people who they don't have the support network, but, and I'm sorry, Char, like some guys that I work with now, and they'll get all of their money and buy a drawer, and I'm like, you what? And then tomorrow they said, Dean, can you buy lunch? No, I can't. Do you know what I mean? Because like what are you doing? And they're like, oh, I'm depressed, I'm upset, and blah blah blah. And there are some parents out there who's they're getting that child pressure, saying, oh, mum, I need these trainers, or dad, I need this and I need that. And the parent doesn't want their child to fall behind in the fashion or the look, or to be the one picked on because they don't have the latest accessories. So the parents putting themselves in debt just to try and keep up with the next door. And
Claudine says, eat your drawer.
But for me, I'm like different people are in different situations, so it's very hard when I'm not in that situation to comment. However, when I'm speaking to a few people and trying to understand what are the triggers to them, it's more, I'm talking to the people that are at the lower end of the rung. Do you know what I mean? The ones that earn, they're living hand to mouth, but they earn exactly what they're spending. And if anything changes in that in that ratio, then they fold, and then there's nowhere to go. So children are not eating and things like that. So even with this coronavirus thing, and I was reading up on some children having their school meal as their only meal of the day. And I don't know if you read the news article of the woman who unfortunately passed away through starvation next to her baby.
Wow.
So yeah, and this was because ordinarily she would have gone to a soup kitchen, she would have done this and that, or she was earning cash in hand money to live, and she couldn't afford it. So there are some people that are at the different end of the scale. So I don't ever know where to pitch it, but I just say to everyone, just try and slow down with money, if that makes sense. Take your time and then try and work your way through it, if there's a way to do so.
Okay. I wanted to ask about, and yes, I agree, Dean, with you about that. I wanted to ask about investing, because I know that I do hear a lot about people investing in stocks and shares, etc. More stuff I don't really understand. Do any of you invest in any of these things, even trading? A lot of people are into at the moment.
I don't trade, but I invest in shares.
Invest in shares. Okay. So I know people that there are people that invest. Like, I hear about it. I never really showed much interest, but especially world trading, actually, there are a lot of groups and these, you know, pyramid scheme type movements that are happening at the moment. Have any of you looked into it? I'm looking into it at the moment. Not gonna lie, I am, because I do have some friends who are doing really well at the moment. So I'm like, let me just learn a little bit.
See if it definitely. I mean, the opportunity is there for us to make money, so why not? But with the investing, I've been doing stocks and shares for a little while now, and the trading, I had similar opportunities that came, and I was just like, oh no, it's a pyramid. The person that tossed me all the money, and it put me off. And then again, just like you, I heard people, you know, having success with it, and recently I had someone on my page talking about her success with it as well. And what I did take from what she said is that, why are we so bothered about the person at the top making money?
Yeah, I think I was listening to that.
What money you're making. Yeah, exactly. And that was a good point, you know. If you can make money out of it more than you was making before you did it, then who cares what the man at the top's making? In a business, that's what happens, right? Your boss makes more money than you. So why are you focused on the person at the top who's been in it before you, how much years, maybe even created the industry, the platform for you to make money from? So I've definitely started looking into it more seriously, and I do see it as a way of making money once you have the training and information that you need. You know, you need to be supported and have that training to get on top. The same with investing. You have to have that understanding of how it works.
Myself, I traded for a while. I stopped trading. I got burnt. Lost a lot of money. However, it wasn't real. And what I mean when I say it wasn't real, as in I was trading and I was making money, but when I lost money, it was just figures on a page, if that makes sense. Like the same way I'm watching you on the screen, that's what it was. So it wasn't real to myself. So this was a few years ago. I bought my screens. I had all of my my platforms up and running, and I was watching Bloomberg, reading the Financial Times, doing all sorts. And I've seen the upsurge in a lot of people saying they're doing trading, these trading platforms. And I know you mentioned pyramid scheme, Sean, and I think that's probably more of a mindset than anything else, because all the people that bought the £3,000 hearts however many years ago, that was making 21,000 or whatever the case is, and then everyone got burnt by it and all of that. However, my advice on trading is, and it says it, you know, your capital is not guaranteed, blah, blah, blah. You need to be aware of it. Now, anyone that's going to trade, it's fine. It's a very, very, if you understand it, it's a very simple way of making money. However, what I would share is you need to have the knowledge and understanding. If you don't have the knowledge and understanding, you need to be willing to invest an amount you're willing to lose into a system that can generate you income. So, for example, if you have £5,000 that you, in like figuratively speaking, you don't need, and someone can generate £500 off the £5,000 over 12 months, if you're willing to put that 5,000 at risk to get the £500 reward, then do so. However, if you're willing to put the time and effort in to learn how to trade, understand how the markets work, and understand how you can work within the market, then you'll be able to turn that 5,000 into 50,000. But it's not that, and people would only always share the successes. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not going to say to you, do you know what? I lost £25,000 last week because I put a trade on that I didn't understand. Do you get what I mean? So, yes, there are platforms and portfolios that you can trade on when I'm talking active trading, or you can passively trade, and there are things that are called what's called a robot. And you can purchase into a robot, and the robot would trade on your behalf, giving you a return of X amount. For me, I can't talk bad about it because I know it works. But if you can't dedicate the time to it to actively trade yourself, then the risk is much, much higher. But sorry, Char, one other thing about portfolios, and it comes back to what you mentioned about children. So I bought gold coins on the day each one of my children were born. And these coins are solid gold. So they don't depreciate in value, they only increase in value. So I was talking to one of my customers about it recently, and I like alcohol. I'm not an alcoholic. I might be an alcoholic. I'm not an alcoholic, but I like alcohol. However, I found that you can buy, sorry, there's a siren going past in my background, but you can buy a cask, which is like a barrel of whiskey for between £3,000 and £8,000.
Mm.
It returns 20% a year tax-free. Now, if you think to yourself it returning 20% a year tax-free, if you bought a cask, as I said, with the money you may or may not have for your children, and you gave it to them on their 21st birthday, if it continued on the same scale that it's on now, they'd probably be able to trade their cask in and buy a property. Not necessarily in central London, but buy a property tax-free. So you don't get taxed anything on it. However, once again, if you don't do your research and you don't know what you're doing, then you open yourself up to risk. But do your research, look around, and then you can find opportunities. There are so many, like the amount of books that I'm reading from successful traders and people who have wealth and learn to make their wealth healthy.
Right.
Something which as a community we don't know enough about. And we're told invest in property because that's the way forward. I'm not saying it's not the way forward, but what I am saying is for a young family or a young person now, being told they need to save X amount to buy their first property, if they believe that's the first property they're going to live in, doing that in central London at £500,000 to start off with may not be realistic. However, there are properties up and down the country that are affordable if we're willing to make the investment. So there's a lot there. It just depends on, as I said, risk.
I heard some people get addicted, like constantly on their phones, like checking. Would you say it's something that's addictive, like maybe it's gambling?
It's exactly addictive as gambling. The difference is you have data that you're gambling against. Does that make sense? So if you believe to yourself, I believe that buying, I'll give an example. Anyone that bought Tesla in the last 3 years would have almost quadrupled their money.
It's crazy. That's crazy. I bought, Tesla is one of Amazon.
Same with Amazon, same with Walmart. Do you know what I mean? Anyone that invested in supermarkets when lockdown was announced would get at least a 35% return on their investment. Now, if I said to you, quick, let's go buy Tesco's stock because there's going to be another lockdown in the next 2 weeks, you might be thinking this guy's crazy. But then in 6 months' time, you're like, wow, look how much money was made in Tesco's. Do you get what I'm saying? Now, you mentioned about the addiction. Like anything, when there's a risk aspect towards it and your attitude to risk, if you've made and made and made again, the more you make, the more you're willing to risk to make more. But then, and you get a buzz from making the money that you haven't earned. So imagine now you've managed to not even double your portfolio. You've added 20%, but now you've lost 60%. All of a sudden, doing that trade or trading ain't as sexy as it sounded at the beginning. You know? So this is why, for me, anything where you make money too quickly, I'm not comfortable with. I prefer to go for slow and steady, but over a longer period.
Yeah, a bit safer. Okay, so as you know, you just spoke about the COVID times. Do you have any survival tips, financial survival tips for these COVID times? Like, how has it been for you guys?
I think during the lockdown, you should have been, but you need to look at your income streams. That was for me. It's like anybody that was relying on a job right now, boy, I think what this has highlighted and what this has illuminated is the fact that you need more than one income stream. And that has really, really been my main focus. You know, everyone knows, they say you should have 7 income streams, whatever, but I feel that, you can't rely on one income stream in this society. I feel like feel everybody should be looking at the internet as an income stream for sure. So I think, COVID is definitely certified that I want to be sleeping, making money. I want to be going on holiday and still making money. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like, and also it's highlighted what's important. It's like the Maslow theory. Is it the Maslow theory? Like what we need.
What we actually need.
were open was food and housing. Like that was it. So I think we really have to look at what is important. Like, you know, nails got locked down, hairdressers got locked down.
Yeah.
So it's like food, clothing. We couldn't even go shopping.
My nails suffered. I had to learn how to do my own. I was buying equipment. I was the one who's putting the stocks up on Amazon, buying the equipment and everything to do my nails.
I know. So it's like, yeah, I think there's definitely a lot. One of my things is your income streams you have to diversify your income streams.
Mm. Oh, there was a question.
I totally agree with that.
May I ask what
financial books,
your favorite financial wealth principle books are?
Oh, I've got them. Look! I've got some.
Oh, you have. Well prepared.
I read that.
Okay.
Yes, and
I need to get that. I have another one by him.
Yeah.
Rich Dad Poor Dad.
That
one's important. Yeah.
And Grow Rich.
Yes.
I got that one.
Grow Rich is great, actually.
That's it. Napoleon Hill. Yeah.
I listened to
Babylon as well.
He has some lectures. Sorry.
Richest Man in Babylon.
Oh yeah,
Richest Man in Babylon.
Yeah. So I learned the concept of paying yourself first. That 10% is so important. It's that book is really, really good. But I don't want to go on to that because I know you wanted to stick in this point about learning in COVID times. I definitely agree with what you just mentioned there about the income streams. You know, it's highlighted so much about how important it is to not just rely on that 9-to-5 income, but also I think the time has really been, some people have found it useful to see what their skills are. What can they actually do to monetize? You know, what service can they provide? What skills do they have other than just relying on that income, that main 9-to-5, when they've not been happy anyway. So when you've had to be maybe back against the wall, you've had to be creative because maybe furlough or less money coming in, you're then more able to think about, okay, what else can I actually do to make more income streams? So I totally agree with that 100%. I'm always pushing that on my page. But also the other thing to mention is about living within your means. It's so important, I think, to recognize that we need to just recognize about, again, those needs and the wants and what do we have to have around us? What's important in that budget? What can we actually get rid of in that budget? You know, and even just like non-discretionary spending. When you're going to the shop, the corner shop for like milk and bread, and you come back with 3 bags, you need to make sure that you're checking every penny. Every penny is accountable, because the situation it was in just now, you know, it's so key to be aware of your spending habits. Within this time period, you had the opportunity to be saving as well. So you can use time to kind of create that emergency fund. That savings emergency fund. You know, if someone didn't have that in place before this situation, they may have been struggling on using those credit options. But if you had an emergency fund, that could be your go-to if you had less money coming in. So it's so important, I think, just to kind of balance out what you need to have, what's not necessary, what you can get rid of, like that. You know, subscriptions of Sky and Netflix and all this different stuff that you don't need, actual Apple Music, all this stuff. It might be a small amount per month, but you add that up and tell me how much it is a month. It's not really necessary. So especially in those certain situations we was going through as well, where it's so important just to stick to the basics and pocket the rest, because you don't know what's coming. We don't know, you know, in time to come, we're going to be in that situation again. So you want to learn from this situation and use the best opportunity you have to put money away, stop your money for a rainy day, like Odeshea was talking about before. And and see what other ways you can make more money, so you can actually maximize what you have around you, options around you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people as well don't look at their bank account. You know, people are like, oh, I don't want to look at my bank account. But if you actually look at your bank account, you'll see so many little subscriptions, those little things that you think small, like little £15 a month that's coming out. And you've got, you know, I think my mum was saying, oh, I don't even know what that is. I'm like, come on, we need to work it out. What's that coming out? What's that coming out? But all this money coming out of your account, you don't know what it is.
Do that. Definitely. You add that all up, that's a nice little change there. You could be doing something with saving or investing, or putting aside for, you know, another time to cover in that emergency fund. So it's so important to raise an emergency fund. And with the emergency fund, it's so important to kind of get a base of about 1,000, I would say, because if it's less than that, what can it do for you? And your aim is to kind of get that to about 3 to 6 months of your expense, because if it's less than that,
I read somewhere
any day.
I read somewhere, I think did they say 2 or 3 months of
Yeah,
your
three months.
Yeah, aim to like 3 to 6 months of your expenses. Yeah, you need to kind of aim for that. That's what it should be. Especially when you spend it, topping it up. No point spending it and then not putting it back. You need to be topping that up. So yeah, 100%. That's key to kind of have that emergency fund there ready when you need it.
Yeah. Oh, let me just read these few survival tips that Claudine's put in. Grow a vegetable patch in your garden. I really want to grow a vegetable patch. A couple of my friends are like, I've got tomatoes, and my brother, what is he growing again? I've forgotten now, but he's growing something in his garden. My friend's growing tomatoes, and I really want to. Sorry?
He's growing what in his garden?
I can't remember, but it's like fruit or something. It's not anything dodgy.
I'm rubbish. I know green fingers.
We're not dodgy anymore. We work more than gold.
Live on 70% of your income. I think once you start doing it, you'd get used to that number. But I think a lot of us, we know what we're getting paid and try and work with that whole amount. I think that's good. Partner with people that you trust. Ensure legal documents are in place.
I guess that was around the trading and investing.
That was okay. And then, where am I? Reduce expenditure, short-term sacrifice. Yeah. Cancel some of those subscriptions that you don't really need. I know I have a few of those. I really don't. I don't need the the upgrade to the YouTube that I have. I really don't need it. I think that was it. Yeah, that was it from Claudine. Oh, Dean, did you have any tips?
Yeah, I did have a couple. Regarding the books, there's a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway.
I have that. Haven't read it, but I've got it.
And it's about.
I like that. I like the honesty show.
It's about attitude to risk. And there's another book that I'd recommend. It's called The Power of Now.
The Power of Now. See, I've got that in the books I want list on my Amazon. Power of Now.
It's good.
So I do enterprise support. So people that have got small businesses and they want to grow their business and they're not sure how, or people that are working crazy hours, might be working for an employer and they're earning their base salary, which is fine. However, the reason why I left the bank, I should share, not to be a hypocrite, but I was given an ultimatum. I couldn't excel any further than where I'd got in the institution, and I felt stuck. And they sat me down and they said, I've earned them £18 million in the last year. However, they declined my 5% pay rise.
Oh.
It was one, you have to put it in, I had to write why I wanted a pay rise. Like I just want more money, but they wanted me to justify it. So I wrote this whole document and I presented to them, and they said, because the bank's going through changes, they wouldn't authorize the pay rise. But then when I realized that they'd earned 18 million from the branch I was working in, I thought all I need to do is make 0.5% of that myself. I'm not necessarily going to start a bank, but whatever efforts I decided to put in for this institution, if I could do that for myself, what would that do to my income? And coming back to what Odeshea said, something which I really like. And if you imagine sitting in a bath, you would never only just have a hot tap. Does that make sense? You would never sit in a bath just with the hot tap on, because you probably get scolded after a while. So that's having like one stream of income.
Yeah.
So if you had a hot tap and a cold tap, you've now got two streams of income and you can kind of balance out your bath.
Right.
But after a while, if you sit in a bath too long, it gets a bit lukewarm, it gets mild. You have to empty the water out and you have to refill it again. Now, if for one reason or another, either of those two taps seized up, you now need to have another tap that can now fill the bath up. So if you think the bath now is your bank balance and you've got 4 or 5 taps, they don't all need to be on full. They can all be on half or even a quarter, but trickling slowly. Anything happens and one of those taps seizes up, example, COVID-19 happens and your employment tap seizes up, potentially you should be able to, in theory, turn the other taps on to increase more income. Now, Now people say, but how can I do it? So I say, if I could pay you your exact salary now to teach me what you enjoy, would you do it? So for example, I can only pick on you, Char, because I know what you like to do. So if Char could stand in the middle of the street and teach me how to sing with my eloquent voice, and I could pay you your salary, would you do so? And you're like, of course. So I'm like, well, why don't we put a platform together to allow you to teach me how to sing? But if you don't have that platform in place, then there'll be no reason for me to ever pay you for singing lessons. You know?
Okay.
So if we all applied that theory to ourselves, something that we actually enjoyed, there's someone that's willing to pay for it. So one of my clients a couple of years ago, she did hula hooping. Crazy. She used to do it in Victoria Park, walk around with about 17 hula hoops on her waist. And people walk past there, I want to learn how to do that. And she used to charge them £10 a time. My girl was earning £200 an hour and working 5 hours a day, hula hooping. Now, when she was talking to me, she showed me her bank account. I was absolutely. She had one of those contactless payments, you know, in Victoria Park, and she was not hippie, but she had loads of beads around her neck. You kind of know the kind of people that I'm talking about. And I'm thinking, wow, if you can do this via hula hooping, then there's no reason why I can't teach someone how to work out a maths equation, or teach another person how to make money from your business, or whatever the case is. Do you get what I'm saying? So Char, you now learn how to do nails. I'm not saying Deetra or the other Char's nails are bad, but if you used to teach them how to do nails, and you took, maybe my nails could do, do you know what I mean? If you could teach us a skill that you've learned in lockdown, and we're now going to give you £20 for that, do you get where I'm coming from? Trying to realize how to turn them other taps on and then make them taps consistent. And as Deetra said, that the skill in it is by having all them taps running, and you're sitting on a beach or on a yacht or on a plane or asleep, and they're still bringing in a reduced but at least a consistent residual income.
Yeah, absolutely. Wowzers. Hope everyone's writing notes, anyone that's watching. So we're kind of coming to a close now, but I mean, I made a note of a couple of resources that I know there are lots of them. One of them is Money Advice Service. You know, I've had a good look around. There's so much information on there. It is mainly advice on literally everything: saving, buying a home, debts, buying a car. And they do like this free money health check as well. Oh, there's a couple of minutes. Also, a website called This Is Money. It's a lot of there's a fly in here. It's really driving me crazy. So if I look like I'm haunted, it's just this one fly that's just so close to me. I don't know what it wants. Yeah, This Is Money, financial education, a lot of news, like if you want to keep up to date, something I don't really do and I need to do a lot more. And I did find a couple of podcasts as well. There's one called Rice at Home, and I like it because, well, firstly, they sound like me, or they sound like my friends. Do you know what I mean? They sound like people like me, that they explain different aspects of finance and I understand it. So I've been listening to that quite a lot. And there's one called Making Sense as well. Sense, CENT, Making Sense. And I had a look on. There were quite a few, but those two I liked because they sound like my friends and I can listen to them, very easy to understand, and they just know a lot as well. So if anyone wants to check those out.
Yeah, that is so important as well. Yeah, to make it simple.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's understanding it, and the more you look into it, the more you'll understand.
Apply it to your own situation. Yeah.
Missed a couple of comments there about the hula hooping. Turn the other taps on. Nice metaphor, Dean. Yeah. Yeah, I think we've got so much great information from all of you. I just thank you so much for giving your time. Like, I've learned loads. I'm definitely on a journey to increasing my capacity. That's one of Claudine's words she usually uses, increasing your capacity. That's what I'm trying to do at the moment. Claudine actually runs a Saturday platform every Saturday morning for women. Sorry, Dean, for women, and it's been brilliant. Like throughout the whole lockdown, I've been tuned in on the Zoom, but I'll post the details for people on my page, Instagram, wherever else. But please do check out Odeshea. You've got your Bad Mom. It's the American pronunciation.
It stands for Brave, Ambitious, Determined, Mother on a Mission. Haven't really done much with it, but I'm planning on basically focusing on people that have met adversities and have come through it. So turn their struggle into a success. So that's basically what I want to try and do. I want to create, I want to create a tribe of people who haven't been given a silver spoon, you know, they've had to work for what they've got. And I want to be able to use that as a platform to tell other people that, you know, if you're not...
Oh, we've lost Char.
Yeah, so Bad Mum, Brave, Ambitious, Determined, Mother on a Mission. That's me.
Brilliant. Also, Dean, I've noticed your Instagram is just a lot of jokes at the moment. Like, I'm actually just cracking up at the stuff on your page.
Do you know what, Char? I'll be honest. I'm one of them people that it just took too long. I couldn't get into Instagram before. I just don't have enough time.
Yeah.
However, one of my friends said I'll just set it up, and everything that goes on my WhatsApp status, I'll filter it across. However, I'm going to start tidying it up and getting it figured out. But one thing that I did want to share, Char, and it's something which someone said to me recently when I told them that you had invited me, and it said, when you're born, and then you learn, and when you finish learning, you earn. Then when you finish earning, you retire, and then you die. That's the theory, right? That's the process of life. However, if you could take the money that you wanted to spend during retirement and put it over the time when you was earning and still earn during retirement, would we do so? And my answer was, of course. So Odeshea, I'm looking at Odeshea right now. You know, she's in the middle of my screen, and I'm saying, so what advice would you give to someone who's in that process, being able to take not their money from retirement, but what they're able to do during retirement and enjoy it now, rather than work all of these years to retire, to wait for the pension that potentially should come through, that may or may not come through, and, you know what I mean, be able to balance life now?
For me, my whole mindset has changed because I've had a tragedy. So for me, you've got to do what feels right with your soul, man. Like, you've got to do what feels right for you. And, you know, like, everyone's doing this whole YOLO thing, and I'm doing YOFO, which is you're only 40 once. So for me, I'm doing what feels right for me. If I want to buy shoes, I'm going to buy them. As long as my children are eating and the roof's over my head, I just feel you've got to do what you feel comfortable with. Like, I've worked hard, and I've got to a space now in my life where I want some enjoyment, and I realize that life is very short and life can be taken in an instant. So money is important. We all need money, but fundamentally, you know, you've got to create some nice memories as well, man. And that might be going on the Bahamas cruise, or that might be, you know, having a birthday bash that you just pay for everything for your friends if you can. So yeah, I think for me, my thing is go with what feels right in your heart, go with what makes you happy. And actually money, I met a young girl, very, very young girl. And she said to me, Odeshea, you make money, you spend it. You make it, you spend it. Because before I was very frugal. I would hold on to it. I don't want to spend. And I met this girl, and she was like, what? You're going to Dubai? I'm coming. She booked her flight the same day and came with me. And then I realized, you know what? She made back the money. So for me, it's like, there's money to be made out there. All you got to do is do what's right in your heart. Do what makes you happy, because you might, you just enjoy yourself, man. You only live once. And actually, that being said, I spent loads of time saving. I didn't do things because I didn't want to use the money. But actually, when it's all said and done, you've only got your memories. So you've just got to do what was right for you. That's my opinion.
I think I'm in between that. So, I mean, I have booked 2 holidays, not even knowing whether I'd be able to leave the country. And that's because I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy myself, because you're saving. And I suppose the government want you to do is work so that you'll have a nice pension. But then when you've got money to enjoy it, you're buck down anyway, because you're old. You can't do much. Do you know what I mean? So why not live life now?
My grandma worked for London Transport for like nearly 40 years. Then she retired, and within 2 years she had died. What's the point? Like,
why wait for retirement to have a life?
Thing. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I do, and I mean,
so I missed the question because I got chucked out.
Oh, yeah,
internet.
What happened there? I don't know.
I think my internet was played up. What was the question? Yeah, internet went. I couldn't get back in. So it said, wait for the host to let me in. So I'm here now. What was the question? Sorry.
Oh, Dean.
I'll repeat it. It's so Char said basically you're born, you then learn, you then earn, you then retire.
Say that again.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Is there a delay?
I can't hear you.
Can anyone hear me, or is it my?
I can hear you.
I can hear you, Char, but I can't hear you, Dean. Sorry. Can you guys hear Dean?
Yeah,
I can hear him.
Yeah.
That's strange, because I can hear both of you. I hear Desha as well. Sorry, Dean, say that again.
Sorry, I said so you're born.
Literally, no, I can't. I can see your lips. Sorry, Char, tell me what you say. So sorry.
I think one of you lot repeat it while I say it.
I can just see you doing this.
So you're born.
Can you repeat to me, Char? Because I can hear you.
I can't remember how you said the question, because I was messing around with technology.
He said you're born, you learn.
Wow. Now
You
I
learn.
can't hear any of you. I think it's my end.
Oh, you can't hear me now.
You need to check.
You know, you got that dial-up internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, she's gone again. But yeah, well, what I was going to say, Bishop Wayne Malcolm, who leads the church that I go to, he always talks about this, like about, not waiting till you're at pension age to live. And he talks a lot about the miseducation that we've all had, at school, that we are taught, like what Char said earlier. Same thing that Char said earlier about, you're taught to get a job, and that's it. You're not taught to be entrepreneurs or to own businesses or anything like that. It's literally get a job so we can tell you how much you can earn, and then you'll get a pension, and then you'll have a nice life in the later years. I just saw a comment from Alison said, many retire and are not brought up. I know they're not. I wouldn't say all retired people are brought up. I just meant, you know what I mean? Like,
you can't do what you want to do when you're younger, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
I don't want to wait till I'm retired or retirement age, I should say, because some people retire early, but I don't want to wait till then to enjoy and live life.
Definitely.
Can you hear Dean now?
Hello?
Dean?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. So basically, we're based around the circle of life. So you're born, you then learn through education, then you earn. When you finish earning, you retire, and then you die. So I said, potentially, if you can take the enjoyment you should have during retirement and layer that over the period when you're earning, how would that work out? And what could you do to bring that into reality, to make it happen? So Desha gave her example, and Char gave a response to it regarding not waiting, because obviously life isn't linear. It doesn't have to start and finish at this point and this point. So it'll be good to get your
every day.
on that.
Yeah, 100%. You know, we have to live for the moment, but I do think in moderation. You know, I think that, as I say, my early situation with money was bad, and I'm in a much better place now. So I think that it's important for me not to get to this place where I am now and just splurge it all because I feel like going on holiday, or you know, just getting an upgrade on a card I can't really manage. That takes up 70% of my income. I think you have to kind of do it in moderation. And I think it's probably easy to do if you kind of set, like you was talking about earlier, dealing with those saving goals. I think it's important to have like a saving goal. I love a holiday, love it. If I don't go holiday, then I feel it. I actually think it actually impacts my emotional well-being. I'm convinced. If I don't go away, my feet are itching. So for me, I always make sure I've got my saving pot for my holidays, and I make sure that I can afford my holidays comfortably. So I'm not interrupting with, you know, any other expenses that I should be putting up money into, or tempted to use those options to pay for a holiday. I just don't want to be doing that. So I think it's important to kind of balance out what you kind of want to do in your life, the outcomes you want to have, having a set goal of maybe what you want to do, looking at the short-term, medium-term and long-term goals that you set for yourself about where you want to be and what you want to do, and make an action plan towards that. Because without a plan, you know, most things don't happen. They're just a wishy-washy idea that I wish I did that, or I wish I'd done this, you know. We've all done that. So it's about kind of planning it out and thinking about what you want to do, setting that goal. If you say you want to retire early, then put a year on it. So, you know, by the age of whatever, I don't know, 45, 50, whatever, I'm going to retire early. Okay, how are you going to work towards that? How much is that going to cost you? What do you want to be living on at that time? Has it, you know, how are you going to manage financially? So it's about making a plan, is what I say. And I think just you can do that, live for the moment, definitely 100%, but do it in moderation. Make sure you can manage your expenditures that you need to be spending on, as well as those luxuries that you want to enjoy in life. Because life is short. I turned 40 as well this year, so I want to be YOLOing. You know, I'm 40. I want to be YOLOing, but I want to do it in a way that I can manage. You know, financially.
Yeah. Don't try and keep up with the Joneses. I think that.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, 100%.
Social media puts you under a lot of pressure. Me, I will wear the dress twice, and post up the dress twice.
Yes, your money.
People are like, oh my God, I can't wear the dress again because I wore it. You're right.
You have to spend your good money on it.
Exactly. Wear it twice.
You're under pressure, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, that is how it is right now. People don't want to be doing that. And I think, as you said, that living up to Joneses as well. I've two theories on the living up to Joneses. I think that, you know, that either in debt, or you just don't know how people's pocket are. You don't know what sacrifices they've made to get what that you may be seeing them with. So we can't really judge our situation or somebody else's and think, oh, I want that. So if they've got that, I want that. You don't know what sacrifice they've taken, or you don't know what debt situation they may be in to kind of.
Well, how many bodies they had to bury to get there? You don't know.
Or lay on top of to get there. You know, we just don't know. We just don't know super situations, you know. But yeah, no, I think, you know, you're so right about the living up to Joneses. It's and I think it's a concern for our younger generation, because I think even more so now, they've got the social media hot now, you know, compared to how we were, you know, growing up. That is it now. So we're swiping through, and you know, they're looking at what this person has and that person's doing, and they want to match that, so, or outdo that person. So it's a difficult thing to kind of balance.
But I also do think, Char, there was a question that you said you wanted to ask about people on low incomes. I feel, for me, like that's quite a really important question, because you could be on, say, 25,000. Like, what's the average UK salary? I think it's about 25, right? That they say.
25.
In about 25. And my advice would be, look, if you want to buy a property, look in the areas that your 25,000 could allow you to buy. So go to outside. It's not always about London. Go outside of properties that you can buy for £30,000. That is something that you really want to do. And I'm here. I'm happy for people to contact me, and I'm open. I'll help. I'll give you advice. But low income doesn't mean that you can't get on the property ladder. I mean, you have to go about it in a different manner. And that's what I'm about. I'm about showing people, if you haven't got the income that can buy you a 400 grand house, but you have an income a low income, I'm here to help you to try and facilitate that and get you on the market, get you on the ladder. And also, don't always, I'm a bit of a one-man band, yeah, like I've always done things on my own. What I should have done is, you know, partnered with my friends, or I did mention it to a friend of mine, and I looked at, there was a home in Battersea Park opposite the power station now, and I said to her, why don't we do it together? Why don't we buy it together? She was like, no, I don't want to. That property now is worth nearly £1 million, and they were doing it for 300,000 a couple of years ago. And so look at your network. Your network is your net worth.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Around you should be the people that you use to create your wealth streams as well. So you've got around you, and see if you can build with them. And if you feel that you haven't got the salary, like look outside of London. Like I know loads of properties. I've got loads of like areas that I'm working in that I can 20 grand for a house, 30 grand, and then you get more money coming in than you would leaving it in a bank and an ISA account. Do you know what I mean? So don't be disheartened. There are ways. There are ways.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
So what I will do, I'll make sure that I put, you know, your like Instagram link in the YouTube description, and all of the resources that I mentioned. So, you know, if anyone wants to reach out to any of the guests today about anything we've been speaking about, I'm sure it can help you with stuff. I think tonight was great. We've gone on for longer than we usually do, but I think there was so much, like we couldn't cover everything.
Design, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
I think you know, there's so much information that people just don't know, and sometimes people feel like they're asking stupid questions, so they just won't ask. So sometimes I feel like stuff like this is good because we're answering questions that they might be scared to ask about, you know. So yeah, thank you for joining me in my queendom.
No problem.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely fantastic. Looks like everyone's enjoyed. Thank you guys for sticking with me for 16 episodes. I keep forgetting how many there's been. Yeah, and we'll be back next week with another topic. I never know what it's going to be until a few days before, but hey ho. So yeah, I'm going to say good night. Hope everyone has a great evening.
Yeah. I don't know how to end it, Char. I don't know what to do. You have to end it.
No, I'm going to end it. I was just making sure I got all the comments in before I shut it down. So yeah, I'm shutting it down now. Good night, guys.
All right.